Hey guys, Andrew here at JTech. Today we're going to be going through the air brake system. Alright, so I'm going to be showing you where all of the components are, and I'm going to be giving you a short explanation of what each component does and how it works. Alright, so today we're doing this on a 2005 Freightliner Cascadia. Alright, so on the front left side of the engine, right here, we've got the compressor. The compressor, it's kind of self-explanatory. It compresses air to be filled into the air tanks, which actually helps operate the brakes. That's the whole reason air brakes even work. And then directly behind it, we've got the governor. The governor is what stops the air pressure from becoming too high. Alright, next we're looking for the air dryer. We're going to have to walk around to the passenger side of the truck. This right here is your air dryer. What the air dryer does is it helps to get all of the contaminants, all the moisture, or as much of the moisture as physically possible out of the air before it actually goes into the air tanks. This also keeps oil from the compressor, antifreeze, anything like that that may be running through the compressor and could have gotten past that piston. It helps to prevent any contaminants from getting into the system. Alright y'all, we are now underneath the truck, and you can see we've got one air tank right here and another right here. So up front you can see there's a band around this tank right here. So up front, up there, right about where my fingertip is, that's the wet tank, and then right here is the secondary, and this is your primary. And what the wet tank does is, and the reason it's called a wet tank is because that is where all of the air goes first. It is then split up from the wet tank into the secondary and the primary. It's also called the wet tank because that's the last case, that's the last spot where any contaminants are caught, and also that's where the air dryer can drain down into. So once the truck is shut off, it releases all the pressure from the air dryer, and that water should trickle down into the wet tank. And then there's a drain. If you see that pull chain hanging, there's a drain on it so that you can drain out that water. So you release your air pressure and you just let the water flow until it's dry. We're back out in front of the truck, and what we're looking for right now is the treadle valve, or the foot brake valve, or whatever you really want to call it. There, as far as I'm concerned, there are two names for it. It's the treadle valve and the foot brake valve. Now, one way that you can tell the difference between, or an easy way to identify, I guess I would say, where it is if you look at the brake pedal, you can see, let me turn a light on, you can see that it's mounted up to the dash, so it's mounted up to the firewall basically. And if it's mounted up there, then that means that your treadle valve is going to be up here on the firewall. That's your treadle valve right there. Alright? Now, if your brake pedal is mounted through the floor, then that means your treadle valve is going to be up underneath the cab. Alright, so right now we're looking for quick release valves. Those help the brakes to activate quicker with less lag. So, I don't know if you can see, but that is one right there. It's mounted right underneath the radiator. Alright? And that is for your steer axle. And then, if I can get out from underneath this truck. Alright. Then we walk back to the back of the truck. And the bottom of this is the quick release valve as well. And that helps to divert air coming from the relay valve, which is underneath the fifth wheel over here. That's your relay valve right there. So air comes from there and goes into the quick release valve right here, which then gets split up among the brake chambers back here. Looking for is the brake chambers. So on the rear axles, your front axle, you've got a 30-30, which 30 is the standard size brake chamber, but that means that you've got your service side right here and your park brake side right here. So these are your service and park brake chambers for this front axle. There's one exactly on the other side. And the same thing over here, except minus the park brake. So that's just a service brake chamber right there. There's another one right over there. Now if we walk up to the front of the truck, we're going towards the steer axle. On the steer axle, right here, this is a Type 20. And you're almost always going to see Type 20s on steer axles of trucks. Because when you're braking, you do not want more braking on your steer axle than you do on your rear axles. Because if you do, that could lead to a whole lot of problems, and that's what gets people killed. Now, what we're looking for is the anti-compounding valve. And on this truck specifically, you remember how I was talking about the quick release valve right here? Well, mounted directly to the top of that, that's an anti-compounding valve right there. So there's your anti-compounding valve, and what that does is it allows you, it keeps the air from backfeeding into the system. And on top of that, if you run out of, like if you have a massive air leak to the point where you lose your brakes, you can continue to hold the brake pedal, and what it'll do is it'll backflow, it'll end up, it's like a failsafe, it'll backflow air into the system to give you enough brakes to get off the road. Alright, so now we're in the cab. What we're going to be looking for, we're going to be looking for the trailer charge valve, which is right here, your park brake valve right here, and then your tractor protection valve, which is actually behind both of these levers right here. They are behind them in the dash. And then there's your trailer brake, or your, I believe, yeah, it should be like your trailer brake lever, which is right here. All it does is activate the trailer brakes. Do not use this for parking.